Dear all, welcome to this event. I'm Matea Princic from Technology Park Ljubljana, and we will go together through this study tour today. Just let me shortly introduce our core team who is taking care for this study tour. Here with me are Monika Cvetko and Aleš Pevc from Technology Park Ljubljana. And from the municipality of Ljubljana, here is Mojca Plantan and also Željko Guđulić and Matej Cerar. We are all of us hosts of this study tour. And before we officially start this event, please stay on mute mode when not speaking and be active in our chat channel. If you have questions, don't hesitate to write them down. And as you can see, this event will be recorded. So dear guests, dear participants, dear colleagues, now let me formally start this virtual study tour. And today we want to spend some time on open data, linked open data in mobility. As you know, this is the part of Interreg Alpine Space project Deas. First, let's start with our main host, Mr. Dejan Crnek, Deputy Manager at Municipality of Ljubljana, that will give us a welcome speech. He's a deputy mayor that is working on the new community center of Šmarna Gora, which will be built on the system of public and private partnership and will include the much needed daycare center, library, market, post office, and much more. And Mr. Crnek during this time has become very well connected with that area of local self-management. And he can now alert the city council about the projects the municipalities still have to carry out in the suburban communities. So Mr. Crnek, please, the word is yours.
Dear ladies and gentlemen, in the area of the data economy, the most valuable resource is no longer oil, but the data. The data economy is also very important for the development of the alpine space and overcoming its challenges. The 80 million people living in the alpine region have specific needs for timely and quality services. Open data, related open data, may be used to provide these services. EU projects Deas intends to improve the value of data used for public services and businesses. The project will focus on strategic sectors of the Alpine region, such as the environment, tourism, and mobility. The project will encourage the public and private sectors to create new and user-oriented services. City of Ljubljana and Technology Park Ljubljana are organizing online study tour on 9th of June 2021 with the aim to raise the knowledge and capacity to exploit open data by the public and private sectors within the field of mobility. The Slovenia Open Data ecosystem will be performed through presentation of National Open Data Portal by Ministry of Public Administration, as well as through activities using open data in mobility by City of Ljubljana, City of Rijeka and City of Constance. In the second part of the study, tour will be carried out many good practice presentations. So, welcome in Mobility Ljubljana.
Thank you, Mr. Crnek. And next, the welcome speech will be given by my colleague, sorry, technical problems. There's a muting. I'm sorry, some technical problems. Okay, next welcome speech will be given by my colleague, our CEO from Technology Park Ljubljana, Mr. Jernej Pintar, Head of Tech Community at Technology Park Ljubljana. Dr. Jernej Pintar is a community builder, and he has constructed many communities that are still growing. And due to this, to his energy and know-how, he became known as Dog Dynamite. So Jernej, please share your view of open data with us. Jernej?
Hi, everyone. Very welcome to Virtual Technology Park Ljubljana. We're fortunate enough here to have companies that have developed technologies that are used all around the world. And if this was a real study tour, we could show you the company that produces lasers for eye surgery that are on all continents, even Antarctica. Company that has computer vision inspection of pharmaceutical tablets that are produced in their millions and billions per day. Cybersecurity wormholes between computers, genetic analysis, control systems for particle acceleration, liquid cooling solutions, electrical motors in a wheel of a car, and stuff like that. That's making human lives better. But today we're here looking at a new field, or at least in our area, that's also the intention of this project, the new field of how to harness and use open data, how to build new stories of how this technology and this resource can improve our lives. Our key message at the outset of this workshop is, of course, ambition, because so often we have seen that some stories have started, but they didn't really have the smell of ambition, and so they didn't make the distance. They didn't gain enough momentum, and we would really like if this project would ignite it, but then we would have somebody who would carry this torch into the future, right? This praxis that we're gonna see on the level of municipality of Ljubljana is a real case story of such praxis growing. And we're really fortunate and lucky to have such partners and owners around us. And let this be the main message: be ambitious, build a real technology field. That's it. Thanks.
Thank you, Jernej. And now to study tour. Hello and welcome to our colleagues from Municipality of Ljubljana once again, Željko Guđurić and Matej Cerar. Željko is currently in charge of projects in the field of open data, digitization, and data used in the field of protection. And Matej Cerar is mainly involved in a project management of projects concerning digital innovations. Please, Željko and Matej, present us Deas project and today's agenda.
Yeah, thank you. Okay, short introduction. Welcome to the online study tours mobility, which will be today in Ljubljana from 12 to almost 4 p.m. So we are organizing study tour, which we briefly named Good Practice Using Open Data, Link It Open Data together with our partner Technology Park of Ljubljana. At this event, 11 excellent speakers who are expert in their fields will introduce us a good practice in the various fields where the open data and the related data are used. As our Deputy Mayor Crnek already said, we at Ljubljana, City of Ljubljana, are aware that we are in area of the data economy. The most valuable resource is no longer oil, but the data. So we have a fully support in the city in obtaining and accessing to all open data, which are currently available in the various public companies or in the city of Ljubljana. Our meeting is dividing into the two parts. So the first part, Slovenian open data ecosystem, will be performed through the presentation of the National Open Data Portal by the Ministry of the Public Administration, as well as through the activities with the open data in mobility by City Ljubljana, City of the Rijeka, and City of Constance. In the second part of the study, the tour will be carried out many good practices and presentation with the Ljubljana public transport, and etc. So I hope and I want to gain new knowledge while watching our presentation, which is also able to use in your environment. So okay, I just want to present our City Ljubljana, our Deas team. So in the team is Andrei Piltower, sorry. Andrei Piltower, who is the expert at sensors, Sabina Popit, Matej Cerar, who is working, who is our colleague, who is working at the working group in mobility, Wojciech Plantan, and myself. For our external experts for mobility and department are Mateusz Pesek and Ram Dušić-Hren. So what is the Deas in the city of Ljubljana? So what we are looking for, sorry, digitalization of the public services, identification of open data we have in the city, which we can use for developed new and efficient services, obtaining, of course, new data by installing capture devices like sensors in our, today we have a mobility, but we are also working on the environment, and publishing on the open data platform. At the end, of course, development of data economy strategy. So, of course, City of Ljubljana has their own project website, which is now just a couple of words of the city of Ljubljana. Ljubljana is the capital of the Republic of Slovenia, and so it covers about 275 square kilometers. Inhabitants is something like near 3,000, and which is very important every day is about 100 or 120 vehicle is coming to Ljubljana with the people who are working in the city. So what is the task of the Ljubljana? The people who are working in the city of Ljubljana is to assure the best services for all our citizens. Okay, what is the elementary city task? Of course, like any other cities, urban planning, kindergarten, primary schools, local roads, household waste disposal, potable water, sewage, heating, gas, cemetery, parking, public fire services, emergency management. Like this is this is a city task like in every city. Our big city family are employed about 12,000 people, and sorry for this. We can say that we have a city administration which is employed about 600 people. Then we have public companies and a lot of public. So we have a lot of schools, we have a lot of culture, and so on and so on. Public, yes. This is our public companies, which had most of our open data we are using in this in Deas project, and it's not so also important. On the next slide, we can see that Ljubljana is divided on 17 local communities, which are the main task are. So informing the population about the matters important for the area of the neighborhood community, organizing the cultural, sports, and other events, implementation of the various progress in the field of the sports, culture, social regulation, and environmental protection, preparation of the plan or small works. And at the end, I would like a couple of words about agenda. So just after the colleague from the Minister of the Public Administration, Aleš Veršič, will present the operation usability of the government open data portal. Matej Cerar, my colleague from the city of Ljubljana, will show us a lot of using open data in mobility, so good practice, and of course he will talk about new project in the next year. After that, our colleague from Tatjana Perše from city of Rijeka, she will show us a really good case of the using open data in mobility. And then, thank you, Christine and Karl-Heinz from the city of Constance. Christine will have presentation of the local pilots in Constance, so the bike app and the distance sensors and parking sensors with the LoRa wide area network. At the end of the first part, we have a colleague Karl-Heinz Hasner will present Project Domino, mass with the ride sharing in Austria. In the last part, after the break, of course, we will see a good practice of using open data. Oh, sorry. So we will have a presentation from Gregor Zunder. He's working for the public company, Ljubljana Transportation. Service log, Mateusz Pesek. Visualization of open data in mobility, Primož Banovac. Lenart Čerpon will present hackathon and Slovenian police. And at the end, our colleague from the Technology Park Ljubljana will present technology path of the Slovenian invitation in AR. So this will be all from me. I wish you a good day, a lot of a good presentation, and see you at the end. Thank you.
Thank you, Željko. Matej Cerar, are you here? Please, the floor is yours.
Yeah, sure, I'm here. So in the interest of time, I would just say hi, and you'll hear more from me later on. So we decided that Željko should have the main floor. And I think he has said everything that needs to be said. We're very sorry you're not here with us in person, but maybe sometime in the future, we'll be able to rectify that with a good glass of beer.
Okay, so we can go on. And welcome our first key speaker, our guest from Ministry of Public Administration, our colleague from Hackathons, Mr. Aleš Veršič. Aleš is a real open data freak. I know him very well. He loves data in all forms. His main work is also related to data, especially open data, and he's also coordinating activities at Open Data Hub Slovenia. Did you know that Slovenia is in 10th place in the OECD Open Data Index? We jumped there from 19th place 2 years ago. So Aleš, please, the word is yours to give us presentation about the National Open Data Hub and activities of open data ecosystem in Slovenia. Aleš, please.
Matej, thank you. Hello, everybody. Also in behalf of our Ministry of Public Administration, I will try to show the activities and functionalities about our National Open Data Portal as a one-stop shop. Let's start this study tour. I hope you can see the screen. The next slide is okay. So when we are talking about open data and to create the ecosystem, we must talk about the process. So it's like an iceberg in the sea. We have a lot of information below the surface. There are classified information, personal data. There is also some approach that institutions share their data through the data viewing. But when you're talking about open data, we should get this data in open data format and with the right license. So this process, of course, influences in all of us, and also it's never-ending story. So when you start this story about open data, it's something which will never end. So in our case in Slovenia, this is some little bit technical view of our data, conceptual view of our data portal. To make sustainability of our data portal is also important to get the data from the different sources in the different ways. And one of these is also harvesting. So we are harvest the data and metadata from the various data sources and published in our open data portal. And from our data portal is also published to the European data portal. So it's for Slovenia, this is a one-stop shop and also linking to the European data portal. And the core elements of our open data portal are the main is the OPSI portal, but we also now in the developing some new features or modules. It's OPSI API. It will be catalog of API access point, and also OPSI Lab, which is something which is meant to have the public administration users to make some advanced analysis in base of data, and they can share these notebooks among themselves. So if somebody creates some good visualization, you can reuse it and use with your data. Our open data portal is basically a catalog of public information. We call it National Wealth of Digital Raw Materials, and have two important features. It's one is open data portal and one is catalog of data sets. I will show in this is the empty site, and you can see we have open data tab and also catalog of information of public information because it's our decision was to make this description of the data, which is not open yet, but still people should know that the existence of the data. And during the process of strategic plan, you can see that the data sets which should be opened, but which are not opened. So it was the approach which is also now in progress in Europe to make the list of the data sets which are established in Slovenia, and but not all in the open data format. So users can see these two different filters. So what are functionalities? We are also enabling users for the blind and with problems with the accessibility. So simply with the click, you can switch the view of the portal. Because we are doing the harvesting from the different data sources, we cannot make this national open data portal as bilingual, for example, in Slovenian English language, because some of the major harvesting sources they have only in Slovenian language. So we decided to use the Google Translate. In the future, probably we will switch to the European Translate machine. There is also a part with news. What is also important is that the users can suggest a correction of the data sets, or if they find something is wrong with data sets, they can send this suggest directly to the person who is responsible for these data sets. So there is no walking around through, I don't know, numerous people to tell them that there is something wrong with the data set, or there's something should be improved, so the value of the data sets could be higher. Also, people can publish the application, which was developed using data from the open data portal. Also, what is important, before you download the data, you can make the data preview. It's not for all the data sets, but majority of them. Also, we have the map visualization, so people can see spatial data and then decide to use it or download it. What is also important for us, that we have constant URL when the process of publishing the data. Some institutions just change the data set which was published on the open data portal. When they change it, the URL was also changed. So some of the users asked us if could be this constant URL, so we changed this. So have to improve the user experience. Also, as I mentioned before, we have harvesting from different sources, from the National Statistical Office, then from Survey Mapping Authority GeoPortal, also from the police and some different sources. We have also established the workflow management, so each data set which is published on the data portal must be approved before with chief editor, so you can see what was published. There is also, of course, there is some let's say exceptions from the data harvested from the harvested data sources, because it's done automatically, so we don't make an approval. So it is workflow management is only for the data set which is published manually. Also, people who is publishing the data manually, they also can have the keyword suggestions. We have code list from the Eurovoc and Gamut, so they can use their keywords. For the person who is responsible for managing the open data portal, we have some reports like broken links, what license is used, level of openness, to see where should we put some efforts to improve the openness. And mentioned before, the separation between open data and the catalog of public information. And also we harvest legal basis from the legal information system of Republic of Slovenia. And also we have prepared some guides to implement the open data, and also some how do institutions approach in the process of opening the data from their institution. And we, of course, prepare some action plan. We have also a network of contact points, like liaison officers from the institutions. We have currently around 190 people in this network, and still growing. And we also using, with help of our administration academy, to educate the data publishers. Tomorrow we have one of these course for them. Also, we publish these guidelines, and what is important in our lesson is that which is the key database is it's depends on the national culture. For example, in Slovenia, the most popular data sets is about first register vehicle and the results of that, and also technical results of the cars. And you will see today this application Autolog, which using this the most wanted data sets. And also the one is interesting for the people from Slovenia is the biggest salary in public administration. But for example, in Ireland and Finland, the most important data set is public transport data about that. So it's different about the culture in the nation. So, and also we will now we are in the process, based of course in the Open Data Directive, define high value data sets. The European Commission defined 6 thematic area. One is geospatial data. The second one is earth and land observation. Then is meteorological data, statistical data, and mobility data, and also data about the company and company ownership. So the mobility, which is also a topic today, is defined by European Commission as one of the high value data sets. So all these data sets then in the future should be available through APIs and to make easier for the data users. And also we try to have some personal approach, and with that also using low-hanging fruit. So we don't spend time with institutions which are not cooperative. So we're first doing majority of the work with the institution which is cooperative, and they're publishing their data. What is also activities? So we are building the open data ecosystem. We have Open Data Festival in cooperation with faculties, with Faculty of Informatics and Computing Sciences in Ljubljana, and we are now spreading also to the University of Maribor and also University of Primorska. During this festival, the students should create something or some application or other results of their seminar work with cooperation with public sector employees. So at the beginning, we make a presentation about data sets that will be used. So, and they can have the contact if they need some additional information about the data sets. Also, we have cooperation with Deas project, with colleagues from Technological Park Ljubljana and Municipal of Ljubljana. And of course, these courses, which I mentioned before, organized also the conference seminars and trainings and hackathons. And we also established the Open Data Hub of Slovenia. I'll talk about that a little bit later. The core team, which is care about open data in Slovenia, is about 4 people, but not fully involved in open data. I calculate it's 1.5 FTE people involved. We have chief editor, technical staff, and this network of the people. Some of the examples of using open data and of data public administration is Autolog. Mateusz will show you this later. We have also visualization of government budget, street cameras, and the RR, which is something about transparency to show the money flow. So to whom public sector bodies are paying for their services. And as I mentioned before, this OPSI API is a final stage. In these days, we will ask some colleagues from the faculties and private sector to test these features of accessing to the APIs. And in the future, as I mentioned, hopefully it will be done by the end of this year, at least in the test environment, is OPSI Lab. We're using this Jupyter notebook for data analysis, visualization, and the benefit of that is people can share these notebooks among them and make faster their visualization. So the second part of my presentation is about establishing of the open data ecosystem. It consists with different stakeholders like small and medium enterprises, public sector, municipalities, university, startups, NGOs, and researchers. So in our open data ecosystem, we have we established this with help in cooperation with the Technological Park of Ljubljana and Commerce Chamber of Slovenia. And the purpose of the open data ecosystem, OPSI Open Data Hub in Slovenia, is to share to raise the awareness of open data in Slovenia, to organize some events, to share the knowledge among the stakeholders, and to help people to understand what is open data. And for the concluding thoughts, I would say that the open data is a reusable raw material. People like to say it's the new oil, but it's not, because oil is not good for the environment, and I wouldn't say it's reusable. And in digital society, we are all data producers, so we cannot see the data, but we can feel it using the different services. This is the thought that one colleague told when we established the Open Data Hub in Slovenia, that data is around us, but we can feel it, but we cannot see them, like air. And data users are our partners and not enemies, because the data users do not compete with public sector, but they're helping us to improve our data sets and create something valuable. And during the new wave of opening the data, we call it the third wave of opening. What is important is to make some collaboration, partnership among the stakeholders and society, and to create a new applications or services for the citizens, which is the most valuable for them. And the last one is everyone has the right to use the data under the same conditions. So using the open data, it's not there's some exclusive collaboration between data holder and data users, but data should be published on the national portal, and then people can just find them and use them. Especially this was experience during the COVID-19 in Slovenia. There were some problems for the colleagues from the Sledilnik 19 that to access to the data from the public sector, because sometimes the data was not so open and as should be. So the lessons learned is the data should be published, and then everybody can take it and create something with them. And the most important when you're talking in open data is that data is not free, because there is a cost to create the data, but only the reuse is free. So people can reuse the data, and the reuse is free of charge. But there are a lot of costs to create the data, and this cost could be in money or our what we'll say. Because, for example, we are giving our data to the Google and Facebook, and the price we paid, we, let's say, lost some privacy about that. So sometimes we give our privacy to get some service, which is helpful for us, and it's not. And this is not for free. We gave our privacy. So with that, I will thank you. Thanks you for attention, and I hope I'll a little bit lighten up about national portal and activities we are doing in Slovenia, and more maybe just to say that we are with partners from Technological Park and the City of Ljubljana preparing the hackathon for the Deas project about mobility, food, and environment. Thank you all.
Thank you, Aleš. I like this. We are partners and not enemies. It's true. So let's go on. You've already met Matej Cerar from Municipality of Ljubljana. Matej, you're still with us. Please explain us how the City of Ljubljana is using open data in the field of mobility.
Yeah, sure. So once again, welcome from my side. As already mentioned, I work in the digital innovations, which is, let's say, a budding part of the City of Ljubljana. We have been formed around a year ago, and so we're still taking baby steps, but we see great potential. And also the leadership of the City of Ljubljana has recognized the importance of digitizations, where open data is part of that. So let me just go through what we are doing right now concerning open data. Shortly about Ljubljana, I think Željko already mentioned everything that's important, but I would like to stress that we like to see ourselves as green, clean, safe, and friendly. And our mission of the city, which has changed quite drastically since the last mayor took over in 2007, is that we are here, the City of Ljubljana, its administration, and all the companies, to provide the best service for inhabitants and visitors and improve the quality of life of all. And we think that open data and digitization in general is the way forward, as also by the European Union. But we should always start with why, when we are making a decision to implement a new solution. And we like to think of three principles when we are deciding. First is, will the new solution improve the quality of lives of our citizens and inhabitants? So will it make them more happy? Like in Dubai, they have a Ministry of Happiness, and like we like to see ourselves the same. So what would make our citizens, our inhabitants more happy? What would give them more satisfaction, more quality of life? The second is, of course, productivity. The solution we bring about, especially in digitization, should increase the productivity of what we do. So it would, if we are talking about mobility, the every solution should, I don't know, lower the amount of time we spend in cars, should give us more pleasure, so we can be productive while moving around. Like for taking a public transport, you can already answer emails instead of staying in the car in the congestion. And lastly, as Ljubljana has been a proud holder of the green capital, we like to think that every solution should bring about, should help bring about a sustainable society. With this in mind, in the last 10 years, Ljubljana has realized almost 2,000 projects. As you can see, most were infrastructure. The main being that we pushed the cars out of the city center, creating really like a living room for all the citizens. As you can see, this is all around the city center. It used to be dominated by the cars, but now people are walking around, you can meet friends. It's a really nice place to have, like, and to meet, to have a drink. But if we move towards mobility, the main goal we set ourselves in around 2010 was to make a push towards multimodal mobility. We had a lot of cars in Ljubljana, and we still have, but we're trying to push them outside of the city center or even outside of the city by park and ride. And as you can see, we are on a good way. We don't have the data for 2020, but I think we have reached or even surpassed the goal of the first. But if we move towards the digital world, first make maybe a bit of a broad picture of what we in Ljubljana try to follow. We like to think that data is only part of the story, and that all the infrastructure and all the stakeholders must be aligned in order to use the data we produce. So if we set an example like what is needed to come from point A to point B, we first need a relatively good driver who knows, so an organization who can get you from A to B. Then we need the proper roads, the proper processes which allow. Only then comes the issue of data and technology. So data is, of course, the fuel which should lead, which should propel us towards the new goal. And technology should be lastly considered, which is only the vehicle which takes us there. Important, but not to be considered in the first degree. Of course, this must be properly secured, and there's also the issue of trust. As we can see, new technologies always have a bit of trust issues with some part of the population. So we need to consider these trust issues and help citizens see the benefits. So some of the main principles in this is that, firstly, we believe that the city of Ljubljana or any public organization should own the data. Even though we outsource some service, some application, which is becoming very popular, we should still hold the data as our own, because data is the raw material which you can build on. If you don't have the data, you cannot do anything without it. You're without fuel. Of course, there is an ever stronger push, like also this, our project Deas is showing us that we need to open, share, use, and reuse the data. Also in Ljubljana, we try to, it's very difficult because public administration tends to be like a waterfall sort of organization. First you plan, then you project everything, and then you start to build, and after a couple of years, you have a final project. But we have found out that this doesn't work for the digital project. So we try to have like more of a design thinking approach, where we have fast or as fast as possible and multiple iterations, and use small building blocks to build the whole picture. So we do not have like a project that lasts for 3 years of planning, and then when you finally have the solution, it's outdated already. What we also find very important is to have a central decision making and coordination. As if there are more subjects, each tends to go in its own direction. So in this, we are quite lucky to have a very strong mayor who is like a hand that is above everything and is helping us steer all the companies of the big city of Ljubljana in the same direction. Okay, if we go into the mobility and what open data we have, I'm sure most of us already seen the checklists we compiled, what data we have, and I'm sure you can read much faster than I can speak. So this is the data we're currently have. I think most of this is already open or on the process of opening it. I would like to maybe just point out the first two, some more information, because cycling is very important for the city of Ljubljana. As we can see, I think that Matea, that is you on the picture, if I see correctly. We have some countings which are already give feedback, so you can see, and it sort of gives more incentives to cycle, because you can see the mark as you pass through this counter, you can see it increase. And as you can see the graph, in the last decades, the numbers have gone quite drastically up, and it's increasing even still. A big help in this was the introduction of a bike sharing system. It's a private-public partnership, and I think the GC Deco, a French company, is the maker and producer of the system. And we just had a 10-year anniversary of the system. It was very well received in Ljubljana. I think above 8 million rides have already been made in the last 10 years, which puts us in the top, in the whole of Europe, top use of bike sharing per capita. We have, so this is the current map of the stations. There are around 800 bikes in use today, and the system is expanding. And this data is also available in an open data platform via our partner, this GC Deco. All of the data I mentioned is available, is open, let's say in a way, through this portal we have. And this is just a picture, but let me go to the website and we can go through it shortly. It's only in Slovenian, but I will translate it and go through it quickly. So first, there is the road. So people are most interested if there are any road blockages. So this shows us the full blockage of the road. If you click, you have when is it due, so when was it closed, and when is it supposed to open. We also have the counters on the public roads, on the state roads. We have to see the congestion. So what is the flow, how fast it's going. If we move over to the pedestrian part, this is walking. There are two main things that are important. First is the city center, which I already mentioned is now a living room of the city. It's close to the traffic. The only thing inside is the sort of cavalier. It's an electric little car that you hail or call, and it's free of charge. And there are, I think, around 8 of them at the moment. But they are really well received by mostly elderly and those who cannot walk around. And they make, I think, over 60,000 kilometers a year. So they are really very popular. And the other main important thing about walking is this, we called it path of remembrance. It was it's the path where it's during the Second World War the wire used to be. So this is also like an important part of the city of Ljubljana. What is also open is the location of fountains, drinking fountains. There's also an app that can guide you towards the nearest fountain. If we move over to the biking part, we have integrated the bike sharing platform inside, so you can see if you click how many are still available, how many are free, so like only locked, so you can give them, and it's updated very often, so every 3 minutes or so. Yeah, and then the infrastructure is also, the biking infrastructure is made. Public transport. This is perhaps the most heavily used open data. This is only the static information, but there are a lot of applications that were made using the data that Ljubljana public transport has opened. And this has maybe led even to a bit of a problem because there were so many applications and not all were updated, that this led to a bit of a confusion, especially when a tourist came and he inputted into the app search and he got many applications and he did not know which one to use. And the official one was not even the best one, I think. Okay, and then we have for the vehicles, we have the public parking spots. I think not all private are yet, but they're slowly coming online. So we are gathering them, which would also allow to see how much parking spots are left. So you do not go somewhere where it's already taken. We also plan to include the open public parking spaces. At the moment, only the one with the ramps are included because there are no sensors yet. But we plan in the next years to also try pilots using cameras and AI to also include the parking spots on the side of the road in the one-way streets. Also, there are park and rides, which are a very important part of keeping the vehicles outside of the city center. And also, we have started cataloging the infrastructure for e-mobility, so for charging and also car sharing. This is it's a private company. That is, we also have I think they just got a concession from the city of Ljubljana. And it's also connected to their data to see how many cars they are available, it's fun to go, and what are the locations and availability. They also, of course, have their own app, which gives them more information. Okay, so this was in short the portal, which gives information. But as you can see, the shortcoming is this is only informative. It just gives information on all the data we're gathering, which is good, but it's only the first step. So in the next minutes, I will also tell you how we plan to use this data in order to give an even better experience. Right, let me go back to the presentation. Yeah, what we also did is we connected all this information with the Facebook bot chatbot. So you're supposed, if you can ask anything, they will give you so a link towards the proper site. So this is also have been sort of good use of all this data. The closest we have come in, one of the deficiencies of the platform we saw earlier, it's only internet-based on an internet site. We do not yet have an app that gives all the information, but the closest we have come for now is the Urbana app, which will become in the future the e-identificator, and also you will have one card which you will be able to use all the different services that Ljubljana has to offer. But at the moment, it's only, as you can see here, you get the same information. It's a bit better because it includes where you are and what are the nearest points of interest, but it's still only informative. It's not interactive. There's no service behind it. One other thing that we always try to keep our citizens as informed as possible. And the first, let's say, concept, first beginning of this is the moment in Ljubljana, it's called. It's again a web page which gives an up-to-date. So these are information that are constantly refreshed. And there are more information also about the quality of air and other data. So it's not only mobility. Okay, what is still loading? So I named it like, what is the future? First, I think most of the bigger cities already have this, is a sort of urban digital platform, which connects all the different data I have already been talking about. So for now, we just have them like informatized, but the plan is to first put them all in the same data lake, or at least connect them with APIs. But then what is the added value is to build a communication platform above it, which gives, besides information, also can offer services. It also can offer them payment, loyalty, if there's an eID, and also engagement of the citizens. This will also help with the management of the city, as it would offer another digital aspect to manage in the city. But this is like the bigger project, and a bit smaller is one we are doing as a project. We applied to a tender by the Ministry of Public Administration, is that we propose to build a multimodal mobility application together with 10 other municipalities in Slovenia. And this would, why? Because there are a lot of services, as I already mentioned. The data from that, we have bike sharing, we have car sharing, we have public transport, and everyone has their own application. And so this mobility as a service is becoming a bit of a mess, because everyone who comes to Ljubljana, let's say a tourist or somebody who comes only to work, has to upload up to 10 different applications. Each has their own way of introducing payment, different tariffs, and it becomes a lot. So we would like to build like an integrated app that would be a one-stop shop. Also, it would include a route planner, which would include the CO2 footprint algorithm. So you could choose the route and how you would like to get there. Would it be via public transport, via car sharing, maybe via an electric scooter or a bike sharing? And we would also like to include inside of it the possibility to reserve, to pay inside this app. So it would be a one-stop shop. Of course, we know that this standardization, integration, and interoperability of different databases is a big issue, but we are certain, or we are confident that the private partners will be interested in being included in this platform, because it will also be a free of charge proposition of their services. We also, what this would allow us is to build a loyalty scheme, which would allow us to nudge people towards using more sustainable ways of transport. For example, if somebody would use a public transport or bike sharing instead of using a car, he could get some points, which could then offer him, let's say, a card for the museum or something like that, which would be free of charge for the city of Ljubljana. So I have come to the end. I hope I wasn't too long and boring, but maybe I would like to end with that in Ljubljana we strive to be there for you, whoever you are. So if you're a citizen or a visitor. So I hope that next time we'll see you, it will not be through a camera, but in person. Thank you.
Thank you, Matej. Great presentation. Thank you for putting my photo in your presentation. I'm a part of organizational team of European Mobility Week of Ljubljana, and I can confirm we are doing really great projects, including all citizens of Ljubljana. So let's move to Rijeka, Croatia. Best practices of using open data in city of Rijeka will be presented by Tatjana Perše. She's the e-government advisor and is responsible for different projects, among others, open data as well. Tatjana Perše, please, the word is yours.
Hello to everyone from Rijeka, Croatia. Let me just share my screen. Do you see my screen?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yes, I can.
Okay, thank you. So hello everyone, again from the city of Rijeka, Croatia. You can see it on the screen. So let me first introduce the city and myself personally. So Rijeka is the principal seaport and the third largest city in Croatia. It's located in Kvarner Bay, Adriatic Sea. The metropolitan area that the city serves has more than 240,000 inhabitants. And last year, the city was the European Capital of Culture, And we were among the first city involved in Digital Cities Challenge, Intelligent Cities Challenge, Eurocities, Knowledge Society Forum, and so on. So we are quite active in the European organizations and initiatives. I am Tatiana Perse, and I work for the ICT department as an e-government advisor. So our vision of the city of Rijeka is to be smart, innovative, inclusive, and engaged. On the screen here, you can see my former mayor, now it's former, receiving award for the smart city, the best smart city in Croatia. In the recent time, Rijeka has launched the implementation of more than 80 projects that are currently in progress. So today I will talk about our open data portal and the timeline. So we initiated the open data portal in 2015, launched in 2017. In 2018, it was already integrated with the national open data portal and the European data portal. So they harvest us on a regular basis, and all our data sets are published on those two portals. Of course, Open Data Portal is now involved in many initiatives and many smart city projects, and it has a prominent place in our strategy of the smart city of Rijeka. I will talk today in my presentation. I will talk on about more recent projects. The most recent project is a SunBoost project it's about urban mobility. So behind our open data portal is a CCAN as an engine, and this is a main hub for collecting, characterization, and distribution of open data that are coming not only but mostly from the city departments, utility companies, and institutions, city institutions. Here is a visualization of our portal. At the moment, we have 146 data sets. That doesn't mean that there are groups of sets, because behind all those 164, that are many sets sorted by the year or time when it's published. So we have, for example, our city budget published in since 2015, and they are all inside one data set that is called city budget. So we have many more data, actually basic resources under the 146 data sets. The formats that we host are shown here. So the most that we like are JSON format, of course, and WMS that are directly publishing data from our back office databases. So we don't have to really care much about them, because once published data are refreshed every couple of seconds. So those assets we like the most. So what is our vision? Our vision is that we want to enhance services and stimulate economic opportunities, as well as to encourage innovation, unlock new social values, and inspire citizens to look for more data from the city. So what we have learned so far, that we need to focus on releasing data sets of high quality rather than the quantity. The open data requires competencies, technical and non-technical, of course. That publication needs to be automated. As I said before, we mostly like JSON format and the other formats that are streaming data directly from the back office databases. Of course, that we need to make people aware of the data that we publish, and to use those data to address city issues and to add value by publishing them. And it's very important that senior leadership in the city is aware of the value of the open data and to back the team behind the open data publishment. We also, our strategy, open data strategy, is to allow citizens to help city staff to build for the public. So because our open data users is growing, so the opportunities to create value from them is also growing. And we put really effort to involve citizens as much as possible to partner with us in development of mutual open of the data. And we are asking citizens to tell us what they want. They have several channels that they can actually ask for data, and several platforms that we allow them to put their requirements. Of course, that we need to invest in digital literacy as well, and to increase understanding how government and city operates, so they are aware of the context, and to help us to activate open data. One of the first mobile application that was actually built not by the city but by the citizens, actually young people, they found our open data, and they were not from Rijeka, actually, they were from Zadar, and they were during their hackathon in Zadar that some NGOs were running. They found data on our portal, and they actually built an application. So that was very interesting, because people were from the different city and they found our open data. And this application is actually very useful now. It matured since then. That was in 2017, and it is very useful, and it's very people really use it a lot. So not only that hackathons in other cities and in Croatia in general are finding our data, we also run hackathons among ourselves to raise awareness of open data and to show already successful experiences of our applications that are built. The recent project that we are currently in is about co-creation, and in this project we actually cooperate with the university from Ljubljana. This is about the co-creation, and co-governance. So within this project, we try to create or redefine our services, city services, together with citizens. And in doing so, we also use Open Data Portal to publish data that can be useful for many services in the city of Rijeka that could be co-created or redeveloped. Another project is Urban Inno project. We used open data. We use open data to run a citizen collaboration platform. So we publish data in WMS format for this project, and the platform was built on those data, and citizens were able to collaborate. So we published also city property, city public places, and the people were picking the places that they would like to build something or to use those places for some activities. And so we collected through this portal, through this platform, we collected many interesting ideas about how people would like to actually to develop the city and to use urban spaces. That was some sort of consulting with the citizens, I would say. The most recent project that we are in is called the SunBoost, is financed by the IIT. It's called Sustainable Urban Mobility Smart Toolbox. So this project is intended to for the intelligent traffic systems. So the stages of advanced traffic management system in smart city are based on vehicle detection and data collection, on the traffic analytics and evaluation, and the management of the traffic in smart cities. So that's the context of this project. So this project is currently in the second stage. It started last year. We completed the first part. Now we are in the second part. It's, as I said, it's founded by the European Institute of Innovation and Technology. And here we are in the partnership with the University of Zagreb, Ericsson, Nikola Tesla, City of Rijeka, and City of Dubrovnik. What is the scope of the project? Is the development of the methodology toolbox that is based on data-rich reality, that is combining traditional and novel data science approach for transport system analysis and planning. So this methodology will enable transport planners to use novel data sources for planning sustainable urban mobility. And the City of Rijeka and City of Dubrovnik are case studies. And the application of proposed methodology will provide the citizen enhanced transport opportunities and a better living space. So the project steps are identification of origin destination pairs with significant numbers of passenger car trips. Then through the analysis of the gathered big data sets of the peak period, zones pairs are determined and set as a target zones for the detailed analysis, and then defining a set of possible solutions for modal shift from passenger sustainable to passenger sustainable mobility modes. Here on this slide, we see the project main results. So from the analysis of data, here are the graphs of how actually public transport is used in the city of Rijeka. by whom, by employed, by retired, by a student, by unemployed, and so on. So we can see the distribution of the transport used by the different groups of citizens. And here are also different diagrams that are actually used in the city, in the project. Here we see the zones of the city of Rijeka that are actually analyzed. I wouldn't go into details about those diagrams at the moment. So the whole project actually includes roughly 150 steps. It's a big diagram here. So what people, those were experts, traffic experts from the transport, from the faculty that they were using, and Ericsson Nikola Tesla. So they were using existing documents and data. They also used some surveys, and we used big data sets that were acquired from the telecom operators during those periods that the data was collected. And the output was some sort of reports and deliverables, data sets, and GIS visualization. So here we can see again some diagrams as a output from this project. So the total amount anonymized telecommunication logs collected in this period was more than 2.6 thousand gigabytes. In total, 890,000 100 trips were identified in wider coverage area, and more than 280,000 those trips have both origin and destination in the 34 traffic zones. So those trips were analyzed, and of course there were online surveys as well. There were students collecting the data on the roads, and all those data were furthermore analyzed by additional telephone interviews, and many responses were collected. So we in Rijeka recognize some transport issues based on this big data and traditional analysis. Identified were 5 zones with significant usage of personal cars for daily commuting, and the average percentage of personal car usage for daily commuting in city of Rijeka is 72% for those 5 zones. So 72% of people commuting are using actually a car. And the reason for that increased usage of personal car is mostly because the public transport is unsuitable. The hilly terrain lack of appropriate footpaths or cycling lines, so that everything restricts the use of bicycles or walking. So the project proposed some solutions which to our experts in the city, and the stakeholders, other stakeholders were involved, and the public as well, in proposing some solutions. Here we see the areas of the cities, and for each area there are some proposed solution how to improve the mobility, sustainable mobility in those areas. The result of the project is a toolbox, and here we can see just front page actually of the toolbox. But by drilling down into this diagram, there are many useful information can be found for city planners and for traffic planners to consider. So how the open data was involved in this project. So all data that were coming from the telecom operators were published on the open data portal, and all results from this project were also published on the open data portal. So they are now available on our portal for wider community to use it, not only for the traffic expert and the city planners in the city of Rijeka, but also for everyone from the academy, from the NGOs, from the citizens to look into this data, and maybe from politicians to propose some solutions or to use this data to work on them further. So that was from me, from Rijeka. Thank you for your attention, and I'm really looking forward to look into more details into a very interesting presentation of a colleague from Ljubljana and from the ministry. And I would really like to be in touch with all of you in further development of this concept of open data and maybe some common projects that we can run together. Thank you very much, and nice greetings from Rijeka.
Thank you, Tatiana. Great presentation also from Rijeka.
Yeah.
But now we're moving to Germany, and I can see her. Christine Vorat is here with us.
Yes.
She's from the city of Constance that tries to increase knowledge about open data and has open data platform for weather, mobility, tourism, and so on. They try to get lots of data to link them in particular for mobility. So Constance gathers open data about buses, as I know, cars, bike, road accidents, and others. Your aim is to use this data to create higher living standards for citizens and tourists. Christine will present their current local pilots for this year. So Christine, the word is yours.
Thank you.
Thank you.
For the introduction. And Tatiana from Rijeka, I have heard about your project. Maybe we can stay in contact afterwards.
Yes, definitely.
It would be nice. It's also an EU project, and it's good to have lots of EU projects doing the same in mobility.
Yeah, in mobility area, yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
So yeah, let's start. It's not a technical presentation. It's just lots of pictures, so you are not bored. I think it's 15 minutes. It's by me. It's Christine. I'm Christine. I'm working for the city of Constance. This is a small city at the Lake of Constance, close to Switzerland. And yeah, I like to present you 3 of our mobility pilots. And yeah, we are a partner of the Deas project, and that's why we are have money to do the local pilot actions and the local pilots and also transnational pilots with the other partners. Today in our study visit on mobility, we have already some partners like Marco or or our lead partner, Roberto. And yeah, I'm glad to be here, and I'm very glad with my colleagues to be part of the Deas project, to have all the mobility ideas in mind, and I can put them into reality. So I have a little, so today, pilot actions in Germany, in our city. First of all, like Ljubljana, we have also a local open data portal. It's also in German language, so it's local, it's not international. But that's why we are in the EU project Deas, because we like to put it on a higher level. So this is first step, local open data portal, and then the higher level EU UCA platform. Then I like to show you the pilot action first. This is called SIMRA. It's about safety in bicycle traffic. Second is distance. It's an open bike sensor on your bike, and then you can tell how close a car is passing you. And then the third pilot action is parking sensor using LoRaWAN. So let's start with our little open data portal. We have this for the last 2 years. We started with climate data because we are on a project with Fraunhofer. It's a project about climate and doing something for the future, Friday for future, and so on. So we started with environment. And because of Deas, we are allowed to do lots of open data in the field of mobility. So we have already parking and car sharing and bike data, but we noted that we have not enough about bicycle data, and we wanted to get in touch more with our people in the city. And we thought bicycle traffic is more attractive, more important. And that's why we focused on bicycle topic. And yeah, in fact, we have more bicycles due to COVID-19 because of environment reasons, because of healthy reasons. And bicycles like e-bikes are more popular, and people right up until an old age are on the bike. So we have a safety reason in our city, and that's why we asked ourselves, we need to do something for safety in the bicycle traffic. And we checked lots of applications and what is available. At the end, we thought SIMRA, safety in bicycle traffic, is a good application, and it's free. It's from the University in Berlin. They developed a smartphone app, and yeah, here you can see the Google app you can download. And yeah, second page, yeah. SIMRA uses GPS information to track you, and the good thing is you can also put on this application if you have a crash, and if there is a corner which is very close, or it's very could be an accident or something. And at the end, we like to collecting all the data about our bicycles and to identify where bicycles are especially at risk. And yeah, and then we can to optimize our traffic flows and make bicycle traffic attractive. And moreover, we have thought that it makes sense to know the overtaking during a ride. So in Germany, if you are on the bicycle and the car is passing you, the car has to have a distance of 1.5 meters inside the city and outside 2 meters. Maybe it's coming for whole EU as well. So we need to do to get data about the distance for overtaking. And there's an open bike sensor. And this open bike sensor is a small electronic device attached to your bicycle, and that records the distance. It's not a finished product. You cannot purchase it, but you can you put it together. So we thought at the beginning, in 2 weeks, we do a workshop, a community workshop with our citizens to tinker these 12 open bike sensors. And here you can see the inside of such a sensor. Then it looks like this, and then we put our label of our city on this sensor, and then on the bike. Here you can see that how it's done. We think if we involve the people to get gather open data and to be a part of our open data community, we get good data, and the people know why we have an open data platform, because we think we need to talk about open data and digitalization, but a lot of people do not know exactly what is meant by these buzzwords. And so based on the Deas project and its scope, we thought about pilots and open data and how we can start involving our citizens on the local and regional level. So this is our 2 bicycle pilots, this safety pilot and this open bike sensor. And then we have a third, it's about parking. We as a city, to be honest, we do not really have contact with the Internet of Things and with real-time data. So we like to get better, to get knowledge, to do something for this Internet of Things and all of this. So we installed 10 parking sensors in our city. And so we like to know if parking space is free or occupied, of course. And the main issue is that we like to get knowledge and how to store the data, how to analyze. And for this reason, we are together with lots of partners. So we started to ask the university if they can help us, also our city planning for mobility and traffic, citizens who are quite good in data analyzing, and yeah, our Ministry of Mobility and Digitalization, and so on, and also SMEs, to get a little step into this Internet of Things. So let's see. Okay, so this parking sensors, and yeah, you can see it's on our parking space, and we starting last month, May, with collecting the data. We are not sure how we analyze it and how it can look like, but we are in a process. We are using LoRaWAN. Here are some information about LoRaWAN and why do we think it's good for us as a city. And yeah, I think I'm almost finished, and I'm glad to have you have some questions and comments.
Thanks, Christine. Any questions? Maybe in the end.
Yeah, one issue. It's important to assure that the data is used. So if you have open data, please do workshops, hackathons on food waste, or on climate change, or on mobility, or on tourism, because then you get new solutions. Lots of students like to do something with open data, and at the end you have a good analyzing, and it's for free or almost for free, and it's helping the cities to get involved in this new world of Internet of Things and open data.
Yeah. Our technology park, Ljubljana, is organizing a hackathon on mobility, open data in mobility in September.
We also, 17th of September, yeah.
Oh, really? We are organizing on 18th, and I can't remember at the moment.
17th,
but the third weekend, I think, or second, yeah, of September. 18, 19 September. Yeah, nice. Okay, maybe we can wait for the question. We can talk at the end if some questions.
Please, if you have comments or something, you can write me an email. It's the best.
Or use the chat.
Yes, but yeah. Okay.
Okay, thank you. And from Germany to Austria, Karl-Heinz Kästner, are you with us? Aha, I can see you. Hello. Hello. Yeah. Today, Karl-Heinz presents the project Domino, Mobility as a Service with Ride Sharing in Upper Austria. Please, the word is yours.
Okay, thank you very much that I can present this project. I was invited to Deas by Robert Stubenrauch from the BISAP. And at first, I will give you a short overview about my presentation. In point 1, I will give you a short introduction to the Risk Software GmbH. After that, I explain or I give an explanation of the goals of Domino. The next point is I go in details about our ride-sharing pool and the tools, and then at the end I give a small outlook. The Risk Software GmbH is located in Hagenberg near Linz. We were founded 1992 from the risk from Bruno Buchberger and originates from the Risk Institute Symbolic Computing. Symbolic computing combines mathematics and computer science to solve scientific and technical problems and optimize them for the processing it on computers. And the Risk Software GmbH is founded to implement a technology transfer between research and industry. And since 2018, we support the Upper Austrian AI strategy to be an AI competence center in the future. We have about 79 employees. Our research rate is 34%. And 2/3 of the projects are solutions to solve mathematical and to solve problems with mathematical and software engineered background. The results are software solutions with beyond standard software, and indeed to give customers competitive advantages over other competitors. A short overview about our partners. And the Risk Software GmbH is split in 4 units. The medical informatics, which produce medicine software, the logistics informatics, who produce software for planning, optimization, simulation, and the control of processes. We have the industrial software applications who are focused especially on the industrial needs, and also a unit for domain-specific applications. These are agile teams who manage most time web applications. Now we came to Domino. Domino is a project which tries in 3 pilots MaaS, a hub for intermodal mobility services and technologies. It is a lead project with 14 partners. It starts 2019 till 2022. It is normally, if you would like to organize your mobility, you need a lot of apps, and this is very difficult. For example, if you need information about the public transport, you need an app. If you would like to rent a scooter, you need an app. And if you would like to hitch a ride with someone else, you also need an additional app. And if you travel, for example, to Vienna, you need 3 new apps. And a MaaS solved this by combining all the services in one service, where you have a multimodal travel information, you have a booking system, and you have the shared mobility. And with this MaaS, the user has the possibility to use mobility with one app. In Domino, we test MaaS in 3 different pilots. In Lower Austria, they guarantee mobility. This means if you use, for example, the carpooling platform, and the driver says, sorry, I must cancel my ride, then they give you the guarantee that you came home. And in the worst solution, they book for you a taxi. In Salzburg, they also try MaaS in a different way. They use on one side the navigation app Sidechick. They integrate their information, also real-time information from the traffic, and tries to optimize the routes to reduce traffic jams. And additional to this, they give the driver the option to receive multimodal informations. And the last pilot is Upper Austria. We try to optimize the daily commuter traffic for an industrial area. And we would like to activate commuters via the companies. And the goals from the pilot in Austria, here in the right picture, you see the industrial field in Linz. You have the Chemiepark, the Föst Alpine, the Linz AG, and we would like to reach the goals of a continuous barrier-free public accessible mobility offer. The partners are the Fluid Time and the University of Upper Austria, and we would like to increase the occupancy rate of vehicles, promoting the switch to public transport, networking of mobility offers from rural and urban space, intermodal cooperative traffic control management, reducing traffic jams and the CO2, and making employers in the Linz area more attractive. Here I give a small overview about the architecture. In the middle, we have the MAS for information, intermodal routing, multimodal booking, reservation and payment. And in the top, we have different apps who can use this MAS service. We will generate an own test app, the Domino app, but we have a lot of discussions with the ÖMTC, with the ASFINAG. In the future, maybe they will integrate services also in their apps. The MAS use the data from the mobility providers, from the VRO, which provides the data from the public transport, from the taxis, from the ÖBB, the trains. Then we have also scooters, and MAS has also the possibility, or for the government, it is very important that you see how this MAS works. And for this, we connect a regulatory MAS platform where we collect all the data from the stakeholders and where all the providers can inject incentives in the system to animize the people, for example, to use ride sharing or to use other mobility services. And the last thing is the ride sharing pool. Here you have the possibility to save trips, search rides, and carrying out the booking. And now I would like to go in detail with the ride sharing pool. This is the part from the risk software what we have developed. But at first, I would to give to go in general to ride sharing. Also we work on ride sharing since 2018 together with the government, with the ÖMTC, with the ASFINAG, and with an opinion research institute. We make an investigation about existing carpooling systems, and we develop a concept to involve communities to animate the people. And one result shows that many free commercial and free ride-sharing services are available for long distances or for company mobility. The acceptance of these services is given because of the overhead, because the overhead is minimal for organizing individual trips, because if you do it only once or twice per week, and also the routing from city to city is easier to plan. Carpooling services for commuters are not used because big problems is the flexibility. For example, if you are in work and you have to stay longer, then it is very often very difficult to switch. Then the ride agreements are often cumbersome and requires a lot of effort. The coupling with other transport purposes is difficult if you have not integrated all the services in one app. It is not enough offer available, and alternatives offers to public transport have to request it separately. And in Domino, we would like to solve these goals, also the green goals. We also analyze the coupling with other transport purposes. For example, if you have to go shopping after work, there are some solutions, but they are very difficult to integrate. And because of that, with Domino, we combine mass for multimodal routes. You see this here, for example, in the first picture, where you have the possibility for your ride per car with ride sharing. You have the possibility to use the public transport, or you can have also the option or the result for a bicycle. The next thing is we integrate and fast individual's driver selection. You see this in this picture. You have the possibility to search your drive for different days, and then you became the result from different offers which you can select in one call. Our ride-sharing pool is also an exchange platform. We can speak between different ride-sharing pools, and we have different map algorithms, which I explain later. And we have also different tools, for example, to get some meta information for statistics, and the web app backend if we have problems with driver or passenger. How works the carpooling exchange? We have, for example, two different apps. We are here in the Riesel world and here in the Domino test app. And Riesel would like to look for a ride, and the user search, for example, for an offer. He receives the offer from the ride-sharing pool, which matches the requests. Then the Riesel user requests for a ride. The request goes to the Domino user, who confirms the ride. It goes back to the Riesel world. The confirmation goes back to the Riesel world. The trip takes place, and both applications returns an information about the performed trip. The next part is the map algorithm. We make an analysis of existing carpooling services, and for this we generate, for example, two accounts. We prepare a trip, and then we try to analyze the algorithms of this system, map matching over the start and the end radius of the trips. And here you have a big problem, because a lot of trips, for example, start in different towns in the middle of the route. they drive together, and at the end, very often they again split. And this is where we implement some improvements. We analyze directly the path from the trip, search on the search when the trips come together, good transfer points, and optimize in this way the trips for the passenger and for the driver. And the second thing is we make a dynamic route optimization. One thing is always the driver route shouldn't go over a maximum of delay. And because of that, we always try to collect the passengers at their home or at their work. And if it is necessary, we optimize the routes by switching back to the transfer points. This is this we see here. If we have one passenger, here we use at the first the work of the first passenger, and with two passengers we switch back to the transfer point. Additionally to this, we have a meta interment, and also for the ASFINAG, we have 3 evaluations. One is very general. We count the participants, the trips, the CO2 saving. The second evaluation makes an evaluation of the districts. This means I see from every district how many rides and trips are starting, and if I click to one district, I have also a ride-sharing spider where I see to all other districts the number of rides, trips, and free seats. And the last thing is displayed in the picture. Here we make a detailed analysis of all of the rides, where we calculate the crossing points, and the circles show how many people are crossed at this point. And this helps, for example, the ASFINAG to plan new park and ride positions. Then the next thing is we have a backend. Often driver or passenger have the problem that they came too late, or there is another problem, and for this we have a backend where we see all the actual rides. We can search in the future or back in the past and have all the informations which are necessary to help the users of Domino. Now, in short outlook, Corona was very bad for the project because nobody would like to ride with another guy, and so the official launch of Domino has been postponed to the end of this year, and we have a lot of discussions how we can manage the ride-sharing pool in the future. And one possibility is that the central the Verkehrsauskunft Österreich as a public exchange platform. Because this platform is because this platform impartial, it is an impartial organization. The next thing is we are now in a test phase where all services are free. It is not clear now how this works in the future. The ride-sharing pool can adapt to that it works everywhere. We have only to prepare the graph. For example, it works also with OpenStreetMap. Your microphone is muted.
Hello, Carl. Hope the official launch of Domino will happen this September or October.
Yes, we will see.
Fingers crossed.
This is also a big problem that now Corona is in all of our minds, and it will be difficult to change this because also we know this from the government. All public services have much lower rates of people who use the services, and I think it will be the same with Domino, but we can hope.
Fingers crossed. And that's it. And think positive. Yeah. Okay, we have a 5-minute break now, and we continue after 5 minutes. So at 2 o'clock, at 2:10. Okay.
Yeah.
Hello. Okay, I think we can continue. We already came to last part of this tour, and now we will meet some good practices using open data in different companies. And here with us is already Gregor Zunder from Ljubljana Public Transport. Gregor, can you hear me? Okay.
Yes, I can hear you.
Hello. So Gregor Zunder is employed in Ljubljana Public Transport Company for more than 20 years, and he started as a driver, and today he's active in different research and innovative programs in the company. Gregor, the word is yours.
Okay, I'll try to share a screen. Has to be this one. I don't. Do you see it? Probably.
Not yet.
Okay. I'll present our good practice as okay. I'll just present our good practice with so-called data, and it's like using the tracking system for our process in 2003. No. Okay. We started with the tracking system in 2003. Before that, we didn't have any. Okay. We didn't have any. Let's say database or something like that. It was some data that can be viewed.
I think we have, he has some technical problems. Gregor, are you with us? You are muted. Unmute.
I think he lost the connection altogether.
He lost the connection. Okay. We can go on maybe with next speaker, with Mateusz Pesek. Mateusz,
yeah, sure.
I saw you. Hello, Mateusz.
Hi. Yeah, just a sec. I can jump in. Yeah, sure.
Yeah, please.
I just need to get the control of the shared screen because I can't do it at the moment because another.
Okay,
I think Gregor is still sharing.
Sì, mi sembra che possa andare.
Okay, somebody is speaking Italian now.
Quelle cose lì, Deas,
okay.
Yeah. Cosa hai usato?
Yeah.
Just a second.
Se tu gli dici con Google Art Pro di fare
you could mute him.
Da uno all'altro,
yeah, but I cannot.
Marco Tanese, can you close your audio, please?
Thank you, Roberto.
Thank you.
Thank you, Roberto. Okay, Gregor, can you share your screen? Or
just let me know. Should I jump in or?
Okay, Mateusz, just jump in, please.
All right.
Maybe
I think Gregor has trouble with the connection.
Yourself,
yeah, I think Gregor has some trouble with the connection because the sound was also skipping. Yeah, so my name is Mateusz Pesek, and I'm one of the creators of Autolog, which is basically a web service where you can check up all the vehicle data which has been stored and processed by the government in terms of technical inspections, registrations, and so on. So basically what Autolog currently means is that we have free, unobstructed, and human-friendly, human-readable access to this data. The data has been available, I believe, from 2014, 2015, when we got a new standard of technical inspection and received all this data in electronic form. So the Ministry of Infrastructure gave out this data as open data, and now Autolog has become basically an interface for this data where we collect all the technical inspections, all the data about the car and the inspection itself, the registration data about the newly registered vehicles in the country, and basically we have an online available copy of the data of the National Registry without the personal information data, such as a registration number, the name of the owner, and so on. And in the recent year, it has become basically as the tool everybody knows before buying the vehicle, a used vehicle in Slovenia. Most specifically, it focuses on the vehicles which are not imported, which already have some history in the country. But all the key players in this market, including users or buyers of used vehicles, service shops, road assistants, service, insurance companies, and so on, know about this service, and it also influences their buying and selling process. So when we go onto the website, we can basically type in any VIN number which has been which belongs to the car which has been registered in the country, and we can also check. Most specifically, most of the users, of course, check the kilometers. And if we see an anomaly like here, then we know that something happened with this car, and we are not too pleased or too anxious to buy such car, of course. In addition, instead of typing in the VIN number, which is like 17 characters, and you can have some problems with typing it in, we also provided a mobile application where you can scan the VIN number directly from the vehicle, basically from the official documents, or directly from the VIN number which is imprinted on the windshield or on the side doors of the car, or maybe under the passenger seat, and you can get all the data directly without typing in the number, where a lot of people can maybe mistype a number or a letter and then have trouble with this. In addition to kilometers, which are most, I would say, prominent feature, and most of the users only check the kilometers themselves, we can also check how many users did the car have, how many owners of the vehicle, how many users of the vehicle, how old they were, and we can even get gender of the user and the owner, and see whether the user and the owner were actually a person or a company in these terms. Basically meaning we can know if the car was a company car at some point, or if it was leased. So basically the previous owner was not an owner as a physical person, it was owned by a leasing company, for example, and so on. We can also get all the technical data, power, identifier of the engine, type of fuel, the displacement, the Euro standard, and so on, which is quite interesting. And of course, we can also see whether the car was registered in Slovenia, when was it first registered in Slovenia, and of course, when was it first registered in the European Union. So if we have a date here which differs from this date, it means the car was imported. So there is some history, additional history to this car, which we don't know about at this moment. We can also check a bunch of different things with regards to the technical inspection. For example, we can check whether the technical inspection was flawless, was conditionally flawless, or it had some serious errors which need to be corrected. In terms of buying a used vehicle, this is kind of important because you can see whether the previous owner did at least some sort of servicing before going to the technical inspection. And of course, we can also see a bunch of different information which is really useful when maintaining the car. For example, which tires and which rims can be put onto this car or are homologated. So basically, we have the permission to use them on this vehicle. If not, then if we use different tires or rims, we don't have a car which is technically flawless in terms of the law. Of course, the initial purpose was let's give out Autolog to people to see how many kilometers are turned back, or how many different cars with different problems or features are there in Slovenia. But of course, the most interesting part was how many cars did have some sort of anomaly in the kilometers. And it turns out that, of course, because kilometers are basically typed in by the technician, there can be some mistakes. But on the other hand, if we check for certain cars, for example, BMW, Audi, and Volkswagen, the percentage of these negative kilometer values in terms of previous years is higher than for some of the other car companies, of which most of these here also include vans, for example, which are more prone to kilometer anomalies and maybe different additional problems, as we all know. BMW does not produce, and Audi does not produce vans, for example, and it has quite a large or at least larger number of these anomalies per year. And of course, in terms of potential damage done to all the prospective buyers, this is quite a huge number. If we take a look at the number of all vehicles which have negative kilometers in the registry at the moment, it's about 10% of the vehicles had this negative values at least once. So it's not that small of a number, even though we can assume for some of the vehicles that this anomaly also happened already in another country before the vehicle was imported, for example, and we don't have that data. In terms of connecting with the government, in addition to the Ministry of Infrastructure, which gives us this data, we also connected different data which is already available. For example, from the Slovenian police, we got the data about stolen vehicles, and we also show this data on the website. So if you check a car and the car is stolen, you will get an additional message that the car is currently in the stolen vehicle data. We also, in a way, implicitly helped cleaning up this database, because some of the vehicles which were recovered weren't actually removed from this publicly available database of stolen vehicles. So we had some vehicles which were stolen, for example, in 2014, and then passed technical exam in 2015, which is kind of weird for a stolen vehicle, but it turns out that the vehicle was recovered, but never removed from the stolen vehicle database, for example. In terms of buying and selling used cars, there are now several online used cars marketplaces which use Autolog. One of them, Dobar Auto, also fully incorporates all the data from Autolog on the website for each car which is being sold. So you can check how good basically the listing is in terms of the data provided by Autolog plus the data provided by the individual who sells the car. And of course, we are having a bunch of great reactions over the last 2-3 years. We have about 70,000 unique monthly users, and the number was actually getting a bit lower at the beginning of the pandemic, but now, because of course everybody wants to ride by themselves, as the previous speaker said, the number is actually rising. We have about 5,000 mobile app users, and most of these users in terms of website and mobile app are still based in Slovenia, but there are a lot of users coming from different neighboring countries, from Germany to Bosnia and Herzegovina and Serbia. We are collecting more and more stories about prevented frauds and, of course, subsequently identified frauds. So basically, people just learned about Autolog after they already bought a vehicle and figured out that there is a problem with the vehicle and so on. And we are having a really, really strong user support, because everybody is aware that this is a problem, and it's not only a national problem, it's an international problem, especially for the vehicles which are imported. But still, we get a lot of different additional ideas and suggestions how to even further expand our service to the people, and with, of course, with a lot of stress on this service should remain open and should remain free. So basically, people want this to become like a standard of transparency, at least for the vehicles which are bought in the country. We are in a way giving back this information and this data, and also the new data which we are collecting from the users, new corrections of the data and so on, to public and private sector, in terms of a person comes onto the website and sees that there is something wrong with the data about the technical inspection, and we can then guide him through the procedure of updating this data with the government and then updating this data within our service. So basically, in a way, we're making the registry not only more transparent, but also more correct. which is actually like a really great feeling in terms of such a project. So it's not only open data for the people, it's also open data which hires the standard for the government data, which is partially also closed due to personal information and so on. So in a way, we have always wondered, have we reached our initial goal? Because right now, for example, everybody knows about Autolog. A kindergarten teacher told me about this service, even though she doesn't know I actually worked on it. So, for example, another interesting thing was technical road assistance also told me how great this service was. And basically a bunch of different people are using this service, from people who are not in the industry, in the used car sales industry or sector, to people who are really into the industry, insurance companies, car service companies, and so on. So maybe we were wondering, have we reached our goal? And it turns out, no, we are not satisfied with this. Yes, we have reached our initial goals, but we are going further. And the next step is more awareness, more transparency, and of course, more open data. In terms of this project, the Deas project, I believe it's really great if we maybe look into the direction how we can collect or connect this mobility data to some of the ideas which were already presented. And on the other hand, whether we can retrieve some data from the partners of these countries where we can put in this data into Autolog and make the service more transparent also for the vehicles which are important to Slovenia after they're, like, for example, 2 or 3 years old. So if anybody has any suggestions, I'm really open to it. And of course, visit our website. And if you have any kind of ideas and suggestions, you can write me an email or write me a private message here, and we can discuss it further. Thank you.
Thank you, Mateusz. Any questions? No, okay. We can try with Gregor. Gregor, are you with us? No, I think he's not here. Gregor? Okay, let's go on with Primož Banovec from Water Science Institute. Primož? Okay. Primož Banovec, can you hear me? Okay, I can see Aleš Pevc from Technology Park is here. So you're the next, Aleš. Aleš is the head of technology office and our open data and blockchain enthusiast. Aleš, you're muted. Unmute.
Yeah, thank you, Mateo.
Hello.
Sorry for
this one.
Okay, let's share the screen and start with the presentation. Okay. Yeah. Just a second. Okay. So today I will talking about the visualization of the path of the Slovenia intention in innovation in augmented reality. But first of all, I will say a few words about open data for community and companies, and why is this so important? The open data will have a real big impact in the next few years. The market size will grow from the 180 billions to the 330 billions. And of course, the employment will be enormous. Employment will be enormous. Expansion, because we will grow from 1 million to almost 2 million new employees in the open data sector. So this will be the one thing what we are looking forward in this step. And of course, there is efficiency, the saving for the hours in the looking for the information and traffic jams and so on are really, really great and have a big impact on also on our companies, on our work, our life, and other savings. We could also reach other savings. I think one of the biggest is the saving of energy. It's a projection. We have a projection to that we can save almost from 16 to 20% of energy from using of open data. So this is also a big impact on the environment. And one of another information which is really impress me is that more than 70% of the companies and organization produce some kind of internal data, and about 50% of them are willing to open this data to the other companies, to the other startups or students or other people. And this is what we could looking for in the future. It's because the most important thing is not just that company could use the public open data, but also there is a much bigger potential in that companies and the other organization will open their data, and that other could use this data. For example, if we have a private bus company and we open data, the many of people, students or others, could make some application for us, and we have a bigger cash flow in our company. So we have a much more similar cases in that, and this is very important, and I'm really looking forward in the future. But okay, just a second. Okay, but also other thing is one of the thing what we could looking forward into the future. The cities and mobility will dramatically changes over the next few years. The mobility will have a different kind of options. We will get a new way to mobility, new way to communication, new way to living. The cities will have a different kind of buildings, and totally new buildings will come, of course, in this field. But the real revolution will be the visualization of open data, or open data, because we will get a totally new layer. Now, if is in this area and this age, the municipality or majors are focused on the infrastructure, and we have a new buildings and new ways and new roads and so on and so on. In the next few years, the focus will be on the new data infrastructure, which will be totally different than infrastructure which we are knowing now, because everything will come to the life. Everything will have another information level. The majors will not be so enthusiastic when we will get a new way, but when we will get a new augmented reality from this data which we are producing. So when we are going to the bus, there will be a lot of data which we could reach, and which we could see. This is the most important things. The data will be in the form that we could see this, and this will dramatically change the future. We are of course waiting on some kind of new technology, mostly from the Apple, because when the Apple will announce the new AR glasses, everything will change faster than now. So we are talking about also an environment, also the environment and the information from environment will have some changes. It will be more interactive and so about what is the our idea, how we are talking about and thinking about that, how could we connect this open data and visualization in which we are strongly believe in Technology Park Ljubljana. We have also the augmented reality and virtual reality lab here, and we are talking about municipality for the in some manner of the European weeks of the mobility, and we are thinking what we could do, because Technology Park is in the edge of the city, is and we have a lot of delegation here, a lot of people coming in Technology Park, and we, of course, we like to say them that they could go to the city center, and in the other hand, in the city center come a lot of tourists, and they don't come to Technology Park as there is no such a tourist destination. Technology Park is not, don't have some attraction here, but we are very interesting, of course, for this delegation that we could offer them something. So we are thinking what we could do, and the one of idea is that we announced that we don't have in Slovenia, that we don't have the biggest invention in innovation in some kind of collection. We don't have this information in one place. So we are say, okay, let's do this. Let's make some kind of collection of this data and open this collection also to the others, that we could that they could also add some innovation or invention from Slovenia. So we are working on this idea. We produce some of items. Everybody knows the carving skis. These are the Slovenian invention and the global market from the Elan company. And then we are making this application and put the markers on the way to around the Technology Park for the beginning. But of course, the path will be bigger with the next years. And we developed this kind of application, and the people who comes to the Technology Park or to the city center could see these items and Slovenian innovations. And when they are walking from the one point to another point, they could see what Slovenia is, where we have the biggest innovation and what is our invention, on what we are proud on. And this is also one way that we connect the mobility, that we could inspire some tourists, inspire some people who come in Technology Park and delegation. Of course, we will explore more and more data and more companies and more innovation from our Technology Park, from our companies. And this will be something like we will offer to the people from Ljubljana and companies that they can also participate with their ideas, with their products. So it's something what connect the mobility, tourism, and the open data. I think it's also interesting for other cities, because the other cities have a lot of stuff to offer to the tourist and the delegation. So this is all from our side, and thank you for sharing open data. I think it's the future and I think we have a lot of possibilities and options to make a new visual future in the next few years. So, bye.
Thank you, Aleš. Great presentation. We at Technology Park Ljubljana have really great projects on mobility, and I'm really looking forward for this September hackathon, Green Hack on Mobility. Okay, our next guest is Lenard Čepon. He comes from Auto GT Club. Leonard, are you with us?
Hello, can you hear me?
Hello, yes, you're next.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
As host already introduced me, my name is Leonard. I am coming from AutoGT Club. I am working on vehicle data monetization for more than 2 years, almost 3 years. And this is one small part of also open data problems as I see it at the moment. Just a moment that I will share my presentation. Sorry. Can you see the presentation? Hello?
Yeah, we see it.
We can see it, Leonard.
Okay, thank you very much. So, as I said, I'm working on data monetization for more than 2 years. And for the introduction, I will relate back to Mr. Versich's sentence at the end of his presentation, data are not free. So basically, all data are available for monetization. I will focus mostly on vehicle data, and the problem is that vehicle data monetization market will be huge in the future. Several research agencies on the field of automotive industry have indicated that vehicle data market will be in the future bigger than the whole automotive industry. So basically, UK research agency Frost and Sullivan from UK, as I already said, predict that by 2025, the value of the vehicle data market will be as big as $33 billion. On the other hand, US research company McKinsey predict that by 2030, vehicle data market will be as big as $750 billion. This is a huge market, and the automotive industry is trying to establish a new revenue streams from data that are collected by the sensors in cars, by their sellers, for example, financial data from insurance companies, and other very important data for the whole automotive ecosystem. But where are drivers, owners, and the users of this data? The problem they have is that do they make money from their data? And do they have options to do that? Mostly it's very unknown that data related to vehicles are used from others, and these third parties are walking away with vehicle data value. This problem could be divided to two sub-problems. One sub-problem is ownership. So basically, can driver, user, or owner of a vehicle claim that data related to him or related to car or related to or are financial about the car or related to insurance that these data are are driver's ownership. And the second thing is what technology can be used for that. Latest technology allow that ownership could be forced, and this way blockchain can be used, and as I know, but I'm sure that you all are aware that NFTs are a way that you can establish ownership over digital assets. So basically, NFTs or non-fungible tokens are the first step for establishing ownership over data. The second problem is legislation. Can drivers, users, and owners of vehicle can they do that legally? EU data legislation says that this is allowed, and there are several documents that allow to do that for drivers, owners, and users. First one was introduced in 2018. It was GDPR. The second one was introduced in 2019. This is Directive 1024. And lately, EU Data Protection Board this year said that data from vehicle is personal because technical data are produced by a natural person and permit his or her direct or indirect identification. So how do we do it? So how do we help users, drivers, and owners of vehicles establish their ownership over their data related to the vehicle? Users provide us with vehicle identification number or registration plate. And based on these two or one of these data, one of these informations, we automatically NFT is used to establish ownership. Afterwards, after that, NFTs are moved to a marketplace and users are rewarded for their data. Our solution has two things. First one is mobile app, which collects data, and the second one is web app, which allow users to manage data and do other operations with NFTs, with the data and other things. And using our solution and allowing us to monetize users, owners, and drivers' data, if they allow that we do this in their name, they are financially rewarded. Thank you for your attention. If there are some questions, I would like to answer them, but this is it. Here are my
Thank you, Leonard.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Any questions? Okay. I think we have now Gregor Zunder with us. Gregor, can you hear me? Are you with us?
Yes. Now I switched to different.
To mobile.
To mobile, yeah, to hotspot.
Okay,
so
great.
I think now it should work.
Okay, but will you share some presentation?
Yeah, I have here. I'll share my screen, so I'll
so
try.
The word is yours.
Okay, thank you. Well, no. Oh, So, can you hear me? It's okay?
Yeah, it's okay.
Well, we in LPP, we started using tracking system in our buses in 2003. It was meant just to track buses. But in 2017, we introduced new application or new AVL system. And we have a lot of data gathering from it. It's not just where the bus is located, but all kind of stuff. For example, that data from interfacing in a bus, connected with ticketing system, connected with all the other buses, and all the data is coming together in one place. Now we call it Web Hub, where the data can be read in on time or live, or can be read as a history data from request from, I don't know, from one day to another, or one time frame, or whatsoever. I don't know what. With AVL system has two possibilities. One is graphical or tabularic representation of data. I don't know why this won't stay. You have here one or two different presentation. One is so-called line track. So the control personnel in our dispatching office can track vehicles with more ease, and you can have all data displayed on map with all the data of drivers, bus time, travel time, telemetrics, whatever you wanted to see regarding the bus. The tabularic part is not so interesting because you have all lines filled with different data, and it's not so interesting. The interesting part of our tracking system, or the data recorded there, is, I don't know why they wasn't say, is the web service. Namely, all data from the public transport are available for public. It's not like in I don't know, in Germany, Italy, where the data is protected. We have all data at your disposal. So if you want to see something, it's easy because we don't have anything to hide. But in the let's say 2 or 3 years ago, in spite of everything, in spite that our data was free of charge, it was reachable for public. We had some troubles with so-called hackers, and our system broke down several times because, let's say, some small hackers tried to crash our system, and they did it. So with web system, with web service, we have all our data available, but with some restrictions. If you want to have a live data, there is no problem because it's a read-only system. But if you have any, let's say, other preferences, for example, if you are app developer, or you have some statistics to make, or you are, I don't know, someone who is researching something, we can assign you a token, and so with this so-called token system, we have our data protected, and we know who is actually using it. This is one thing that can be used in a lot of fields where the public, or where the data can be stored and displayed or used for general public. So this is one of, let's say, our very good practices that can be used in any place, like the Cavalier service, for example, that we started in 2008, and now it's applicable wherever you want, because we started with from scratch, and we got from starting point to implementation, and we have all the, let's say, knowledge and we found out what the problems can occur and how to deal with them. So the next thing is, here is some application support, and here's some how applications look like. For example, you have here 3 or 4 pictures, different. One is display for a driver when he's driving a bus. That's the left picture. The drivers can get to the tracking system to find the bus. For example, on our facilities. Then this information system is linked to roostering department. So the drivers or the technical staff can get the information for different duties, different drivers where he's, and at the same time, the data can be presented to the general public if there is some, let's say, statistics to do, and at the same time the data is live for, I don't know, for disabled people if they want to use a bus, to ride a bus and to get information whether the vehicle is suitable for them. We started in 2008 with disabled people, and the first thing was the question of people on wheelchairs. So there is no problem. We have all low-floor buses with a boarding ramp and so on. But at the end, we found out that not physically impaired people are here the issue. The issue is how to serve all the passengers with different kind of disabilities, for example, deaf or blind people. And the data is available for special applications, for example, for blind people. So you have this text-to-speech interface, so they can access data from our tracking system for their specific application. For example, there are 3 or 4 buses coming on a bus stop with for people who cannot see. There is a problem, but with tracking system there is no problem, because they get information which buses they are looking for. Is the first in line, second, the third, or is bus is still coming? So this live data is upgraded every 5 to 15 seconds, and it's let's say a good practice, because for whole the system, for all 500 bus stops, the arriving time is calculated non-stop in an interval up to 15 seconds. And on our web service, there's information available as a read-only data. So I think this is one thing that can be used on multiple fields. And maybe if you have anything to ask, we can give you our information, our, let's say, experience to use this data distribution system, because we think it's bulletproof. It cannot be hacked, cannot be wrongly interpreted, and cannot be misused from let's say, some hacker sites. So this is our, let's say, good practice in our but this is just for public transport in Ljubljana, because we are part of big family, because it's not the public transport in Ljubljana, it's for itself, it's connected with other let's say companies like LPT is Ljubljana Public Marketplaces, and parking spaces. Then you have a Bicicleta, that's a bike rental system, and all the data can be used in a single spot. For example, here are some part for passengers up. Urbana online or again, Urbana electronic pass. You can use your phone as a Urbana card, and at the same time you have all the information that you need, or all the information that can be provided from a city of Ljubljana. I don't know, bike rental system, parking spaces, museums, public libraries, or whatever the Ljubljana is offering you. And the left side, you have there is a picture of one application developed by a student, and it's using our live data to predict or to give you information on a specific bus stop with arrival of a certain bus. On the right side, there is already a application. It's not working anymore, but it's just giving you an idea how application can come and application can go. So if there are any problems with the data, we can serve it. But Urbana Online is our application, and it will always be there. But some applications developed by students or so on, they can be, that kind of application can be time limited. I think I have it all now. Thank you for your attention, and if you have any questions regarding our data distribution and good or bad practice, just let me know. Okay, thank you for your attention, and
thank you, Gregor. Thank you, Gregor. Okay, I think Primož is also with us. Primož Banovec from Water Science Institute. Just a second, I check.
Yes, I'm sorry
okay.
For the delay. Having kind of live conference, and you can imagine that this is a very scarce event currently. We are all surprised that we see each other actually in vivo, but of course it's then excellent to be able to present my presentation to you as well.
Great, you can share it. Yes, please.
Share the screen.
Thank you.
Excellent, thank you very much.
Thank you.
So I'm starting to share screen. Excellent. So could you just please confirm that you see and hear me, and then we are ready to go?
Yes, it's great. You can see and hear you.
Okay.
Just go.
Thank you very much. I will be presenting the visualization of the open data mobility, and it's part of the project we are still developing and maintaining and upgrading for the purpose of our civil protection administration. Basically, our development was done in the framework of PRACTISE project. Sorry. Sorry.
Okay.
And it is part of the decision support system made for Slovenia, because Slovenia is recognized earthquake risk-prone zone. There were several major earthquakes, and this is perhaps also one of the reasons why many castles in Slovenia are actually destroyed, not existing, because there's a long history of earthquakes. Recent history, large earthquake in Ljubljana 100 years ago, but also major earthquakes in the zone 500 years ago, and even otherwise. So the aim of the tool was, the major aim of the tool development was improved preparedness of civil protection units. So it is positioning the entire framework in the preparedness stage, and it is also built on the decades and generations of the work of different experts in the domain, mainly seismics, logical experts, but also civil engineers, which were occupying in Slovenia with the earthquake safe building and assessment. So the project is continuous development for the last 10 years. What is the development all about? We have developed a tool which is actually enabling positioning of virtual earthquake in any location in Slovenia, in any EMS intensity. So it can be weak earthquake, but it can also be a very strong earthquake. And it is actually modeling the response of all each and every individual structure, house, and person affected based upon the vulnerability and resistance model, which means that the model is modeling approximately 1.2 million buildings, structures in Slovenia, and enabling the earthquake response for any location for it. So it is actually, basic purpose was the rapid modeling for the purpose of the planning and the response. First step is, of course, planning, because the plans can be now suited for each municipality and for each region per se, based upon the, let's say, planning for the worst case scenario, but also for the more realistic scenarios. Of course, the worst case scenario for Slovenia would be an earthquake of significant intensity with the epicenter in Ljubljana. This is to name the consortium who was preparing together with us. And what is all about, let's say. The first component I'm describing is the risk assessment and the method of the National Institute for Construction was developed, and it is based on approximately 1,600 buildings, which were all over in Slovenia, systematically, individually assessed, modeled in the simplified manner. But nevertheless, if we estimate that development of each individual analysis for each house and the modeling each response for the seismic event of different intensities costs approximately 2,000 euro. This is actually an asset worth of several years of work, decades of work, and the worth is actually, we can talk easily about 3 million euros. So each building was thoroughly assessed and its response based upon its characteristic assessed. And so these buildings constructed with different construction technologies and in different periods of time with different number of floors were the basis for the seismic response model, which is then extrapolated to the entire family of 1.2 million buildings in Slovenia. And this is now how it looks when we are extrapolating these 1,600 buildings to all the buildings in Ljubljana. What we can recognize is that the majority of the buildings with the hypothesis of the seismic response in the scale of EMS 8 to 9, which is having the return period in Slovenia of approximately 500 years, is that the older buildings, high-risers in Slovenia in the center of Ljubljana will be most likely heavily damaged. Let's say you can see the newer, let's say later constructed buildings, of course, the building constructed after 2008 approximately, when the Eurocode 8 was adopted in Slovenia, they are fully resistant and have no problems. This is the result, and the result is actually showing that we can calculate on an aggregated scale with the seismic epicenter being decreased intensity from the epicenter. We are quite individually analyzed on the basis of each individual house and number of inhabitants with the daytime and nighttime scenario for any given earthquake which might hypothetically occur in Ljubljana. So the main focus of my presentation is actually the understanding the vulnerability concept, but there are also some other features of this toolbox. And one feature is the did you feel it? And did you feel the earthquake is then being collected by the specific module, which is operating at our seismological agency. And for example, did you feel it registered more than 8,000 responses in the case of the large Petrinja earthquake close to Zagreb, which happened in 2019, December 2019. This is, let's say, one quite small earthquake close to this zone, and we see that we are getting quite good responses. This is important for the development of seismic intensity mapping. So our seismological service can provide these shake maps quite in rapid manner. So this is the core of our, let's say, big data vulnerability model. What was quite a challenge is to provide information for the planning purpose and also response purpose, how many people are actually in the building in different time periods. We are having specifically daytime and nighttime scenario. And what we see is in here that this is the school south of the center of Ljubljana, which is having from the registry of Ministry of Education 837 users during the daytime, and of course in the nighttime it is empty. Specific distribution functions were implemented for other type of occupancy of buildings. So you see the red on the bottom left, this one is the house for the senior citizens, and is permanently occupied. And of course, we see here in the middle, this is garage, is always empty, no occupants there. But we see that in the nighttime, the building with residents, high risers, they are having many inhabitants, while they are not completely empty, but scarcely populated in the daytime. This is actually improving the understanding of the vulnerability concept if the earthquake would occur in the daytime. So knowing how many people are in the building, it's actually very important for the rescue, but also for the relief process. We didn't stop completely here, and we are still working on the further work with the improvement of economic damages, response mechanisms, improved occupancy analysis. For the purpose of the occupancy analysis, we are testing the mobility insights data of the company OneEye. They are the operator of mobile telephony, one of the bigger operators of mobile telephony in Slovenia. So this is dynamics of the population in Ljubljana in specific time period, and this is very useful data because they are actually tracking the trajectories of all our mobile phones based upon the triangulation between their towers, and they are having special precision which could be provided of about 50 meters for the purpose of the occupation in different buildings, which are then distributed. It is important that we know for specific, very specific buildings for which we actually don't know the occupancy, the occupation there. And if I stop here, we see the largest shopping centers in Ljubljana, and the time is 6:30 here, and we see that how many people are then in these buildings, referring to the shopping centers. Later, we will see also the different mobility data on the level of sport events. Not only, let's say, this is the dynamic data for Ljubljana, but okay, this is slightly before this one. This one was European championship in futsal, and the peaks could be also observed. And this is now not linear in some cultural exchange to be verified later that there was one concert in the concert hall, and it was clearly identified that anomaly occurred in the specific situation there. So important is, I'm going back, that this information is GDPR compliant. Why is this quite important? Of course, it is important that the spatial scale here is 500 by 500 meters, and the limit resolution which protects GDPR here is at least 20 observed units in a specific cell, so it is not possible even by the aggregation to identify specific people, so to say, moving across any cell. So this is mobility. These are mobility patterns which we can study based upon the historical data. Time lag is approximately, definitely more than 1 day to elaborate this data and to provide queries. This is not real-time tracking. And for what we have realized is that we are having kind of typology of slightly above 20 characteristic mobility patterns. What is characteristic mobility pattern? It is daytime, nighttime, but also, let's say, last Friday or Black Friday, but also Christmas. And so these are national holidays, and every, let's say, specific mobility pattern can be then provided and assessed but also implement it. To stress, this is still in the testing stage, so it's not yet implemented in the POTROC application. But as far as we know, other sectors are like, for example, tourism is very well known to use similar tools based upon the regulation of the trajectories of the mobile phones, tracking different tourist categories, how they move along very occupied or touristically very under pressure cities. I know for Barcelona example that they are using it. So generally, I'm now moving to closure, perhaps then some questions and discussion. For the entire POTROC framework toolbox, it is important that it is covering preparedness and also accident and supporting the response framework. There are also some other features for the rapid assessment of the usability of the buildings after the earthquake event. So it is important to have the same data framework and the toolbox, which is supporting all these different stages in the disaster management cycle. So here are some, let's say, very typical, and you can also access to several modules of the POTROC tool completely open. Probably the most important module is Rate Your Own Building, because generally the data on the earthquake response assessment is not available on the individual level, but there's a specific tool provided where you can enter and play with your data, and you have their model, which is enabling you to assess your own building with your own data. The discussion was open, whether this is leading towards the, like we are having energy cards for the building, that would be also the like seismic resistance cards for the building, but the legal obstacles are still there and not quite clear issue what would be the legal consequence of such a card, and it might affect the value of the real estate. So it's like careful area, don't enter there. So this is the closed area based on individually assessed buildings. Here are the buildings which are permanent database for different users which are having individually assessed buildings. So this is continuously upgrading the model. Occupancy of buildings, part of this we have seen. Road transport analysis that was performed based upon the usability of roads, which could be not usable due to the debris. And the last one is the instructions for the rapid assessment of the usability of buildings, which is specific dynamic database supporting the assessment procedures, enabling it to be performed as fast as possible, because it's very important to clearly identify to the residents after the earthquake event whether they can return to their building because it's safe, or they have to be put in other locations for longer period until their building of residence is safe enough to be able and reconstructed so they can return to it. So how about my house? That is the typical question, which is answered by using this model. And I'm already at the conclusions. Well, what is the main conclusion is that the large maintained data sets, which are at least available in Slovenia, but also in many European countries, following the INSPIRE directive, they enable large-scale modeling and improve decision-making in case of disasters. This is one specific example of the use of such large data sets. Basically, the data set which is enabling the modeling in Slovenia is the real estate taxation data set, because the tax office knows everything about our houses, how many floors they have, when they were constructed, and so on. And this is basically used for the taxation, but for the purpose of the improved response and preparedness in the case of earthquake. This is, I think, one very nice way to use the same data set for one purpose, which is not taxation. I can imagine that generally people are not so keen on taxation data sets, but let's make use of them. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Primož. The presentation was very interesting, even if I'm afraid of listening to the probability of earthquakes. But I think it's very useful tool. Any questions, maybe? No? Okay, now last few words for and the conclusion. Please, Željko from the municipality of Ljubljana, make a conclusion of this 4-hour trip in alpine space. So data is all around us and let's use them. Many thanks to all of you from my side.
Thank you, Matea. Okay, I made short conclusions. So that today's online study tour mobility event, we saw many great presentations of use of open and related data. So I would like to take this opportunity to thank all lecturers for preparing them. However, we still have many opportunities to upgrade. So the Deas project is a great opportunity to connect and establish new solutions based on the open and connected data. All today's presentation will be available online. We will provide you with access to them. So this is very important. The online study tour is now going to Italy. See you on Friday on the virtual study visit, where the main theme will be tourism and the culture. So thank you to all and see you the next time. Thank you.
Thank you. Organizer. Thank you very much. Very interesting study visit and very promising in terms of services and in terms of example provided. Sorry, I cannot open my video because I am in trouble. I don't know why, but I would like just to say thank you. Thank you to everybody for your very effective organization. Thank you very much.
Maybe just one more thing. Monica posted evaluation survey in the chat. Please fill it. It's for Deas project. Okay.
Okay, no problem.
It's just a few minutes.
Okay, maybe we can send this by the email, Matea.
But there's a link in the chat. We can later on also send it by email, of course.
Yeah, thank you very much. If you can send it even by email, because you know we are a little bit late and probably people will have other activities that are overlapping. But in any case, I will fill in the evaluation report right now. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye.
I wait for you all on Friday.
Yes.
Thank you.
Sure.